Every time I see that, Mike, I love that. I love that introduction. Just grabs you and sucks you right in, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
it's like a portal.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's not a scary portal. It's not a scary portal.
No,
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. Let's just see. Let me go to comments. Hello, okay. So our good friend Kay is here so far. Hopefully we'll get some more viewers coming on. I know we're down a few tonight, so hopefully some more viewers will come on. Um, so got a question for you, Mike. Before we start, we do have a guest. And before we
sweet.
introduce her, um, you ever had that feeling like you've gone to bed, you wake up in the morning, and you've had some type of vivid dream or something like that, and then you walk out the door, you're driving around, next thing you know, like, wait a minute, have I not been here? But you've never been there before, but you feel like you have.
Not really. Like, are you talking like deja vu?
Almost like deja vu. I mean, deja vu is like almost a premonition of something. You get it like a vivid impression of something, right? Like
Mhm.
you're there, you go there, and you're like, I've been there before. But this is not just deja vu. This is like you go to bed, you have a dream, and
Mhm.
then you dream of some location, some place, some building, some sign, some something, and
Mhm.
then you actually driving along, you end up going to somewhere that you were meant to go, hadn't been there yet, but you go there and or you have been there, but you go there and you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't there last time, but how did I know it was going to be there?
Never really had that happen. No.
Well, I can't. I can say I've had it happen, and it is a rather weird feeling. But tonight we're going to take that well, we're actually going to take that a lot step farther. I mean, we're going to dive down probably at least that many rabbit holes tonight. Um,
Ooh,
and
oh
we're going
goody.
to we're going to see how it goes. So Mike, if you'd like to introduce our guest, I will add her to the feed. Go ahead.
She's gonna be right over here,
Yep.
right
Three,
here.
2.
Hi.
It's Amy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome Amy Buchholz to our off the cuff paranormal live feed tonight. um Now this whole show was based on, oh sorry, not his idea, but her idea.
Nope, there. Going
Yes, that,
backwards.
that that one way over there. um and something she had brought up to both me and Mike a while ago, and he's waving at her. And although, like, I mean, me and my current condition and stuff like that, I really haven't had time to do a lot of information seeking on this subject or anything like that. But Amy, you came up with the idea, so how about you introduce it?
Yeah, I'll kind of
Oh,
babble. Kind of put
Amy, your sound is cutting out.
on a second. Hold on. Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
My microphone upside down. I don't know. Okay, maybe I just have to hold my phone. I don't know.
You were like,
My microphone was like at the bottom of my phone. So anyway,
you were cutting out. That's all. You were like breaking up, like when you want to talk.
oh, I see. Okay,
Just like that. Yes. That.
okay, yeah. So what kind of got me started on um this sort of subject was back in October of last year, and I had this dream, and I woke up at like 3 in the morning. I grabbed my phone. I just started writing everything that I had just experienced, and I would just kind of laid there for over an hour, just going, "How is this possible? How did I actually experience everything that I just did?" And if you want, I can actually kind of breeze through that dream because I do have it written down here. And if it's not actually a dream, it kind of blows my mind that your brain or your subconscious, like your brain has like this power that you just don't even realize. But I just think that there's a lot more to it. So I'll just kind of quickly go through the stream, and then I'll just kind of get onto the actual topic as to
Okay.
why.
Stand by 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it still very quiet for you? I'm just waiting for her to come back and answer that question, because if it's very quiet for her, because that's what she put in, so I'm just waiting for her to come back.
Oh, not very quiet for us. I can
No,
hear you
it's not
loud
very
and clear.
quiet for us, but sometimes we have that. Kay said it's still very quiet. You have an iPhone, or because on my phone, it has like it has the 4 levels. It has the audio, and then it has one more that you can turn all the way up. It's almost like it works better for a pickup. It's right beside the audio. You can try that, but it shouldn't have any effect unless, Kay, you want to log out and come back in, but it shouldn't be quiet for you. It's okay for us.
Yeah, I've got everything turned up all the way.
Kay, turn up your volume.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Amy, I think you have an iPhone like I do, and I have the sound turned way up. Like, are we all quiet, or is Amy just quiet? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Kay, Kay goes, well, laugh out loud. Well, duh. Are we all quiet to you, Kay? It's like waiting for Alex Trebek here. Do 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 do. Waiting. Amy and Mike. Daryl is fine. Oh, that's weird.
That is a weird one.
Yeah, that is weird, because I mean, like, I have my microphone and everything all turned all the way up.
He's like, I can cope.
Yes, she can go. All right, Amy, off you go.
Okay, so this is the dream that I had. I had a dream that I was being in my grandparents' house that I did live in. I was walking through it alone upstairs, and I heard somebody coming in from downstairs and making their way up. They were carrying an armful of tools and tarps, and I recognized them as like the roofing contractor that we had hired for their house years ago. And he told me that he wanted to buy the house, but he was sad that somebody had already bought it, so he's just going to fix it up for us. And he started like spray painting like the banisters a black color, and it was like this intricate pattern that I couldn't have even come up with. And then I could smell like the spray paint, and I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not going to get in your way. Dreamed of something else, can't remember what that was. But then I ended up being in a hotel room with my husband Ryan, and we were laying on the bed playing on our phones. And I was looking up songs on Spotify, and I chose a song to play from Jessie J, which I haven't heard in like 20 years. And I could hear the song in its entirety. I could hear the lyrics. I could hear the beat. I could hear everything about the song. And I'm like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that song. How about that? And then Ryan, he turned on the TV and he was flipping the channels. He probably went through 10 of them. And they were all so different. And I could hear music, I could hear talking, I could see commercials. And then it got to like it was like a live feed of a parade in like a city from like back in like the 90s. And I kind of think it's Milwaukee. And I could see the old cars, I could see the bridge. And there was a host, and I remember making jokes of him, saying he probably lives in his mom's basement. He plays dinosaurs, and Ryan started making a joke beside me. And I started laughing because his humor is so left field, but it was hilarious. I couldn't have come up with that joke. And then I had the sense that I just wanted to get up out of bed and walk to the bathroom. So when I went to the bathroom, I had noticed that there was no windows on the walls, but there was a shower curtain that had a really cool, like almost like a paisley floral pattern. There was shampoo bottles in the bath, and I picked them up. I could feel the grit of the labels. I could smell them, and it was the smell I didn't recognize. I could feel the warmth in the floor under my feet. And then I was thinking, I'm like, man, this is a really good deal of points that I used towards this hotel room. And then I woke up, and I'm like, how can I make up all this stuff on the spot in such detail? So it was the most bizarre thing I have ever experienced. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be more to this. So then I started researching other people that have had something similar. And apparently there's this thing called astral projection, or lucid dreaming. And so when you're lucid dreaming, you are able to control everything that goes on in your dream, but you can also go to other parts of the world and other planets, and you can talk to your loved ones who have passed on. And I'm like, is this possible? Is this why we are able to manifest things that are so realistic? Maybe we are able to actually travel while we're sleeping, because there are theories that parts of our energy or our soul actually travels when we're sleeping, because we're going to get bored laying there for 8 hours. So we're going to go off on a little adventure. And this is just what we do.
Well, I mean, almost like what you described. I mean, at the end, there was almost like a, not just a lucid dream, but it was like a combination, because you have lucid dreaming and astral projection are actually two different things.
So then that got me on astral projection, where you can actually travel outside of your body when you're awake, but you can go to different dimensions, and the people that you come in contact with, they're kind of doing the same thing because you can't control them.
So you're saying during astral projection you can't control them. During lucid dreaming you can?
Yes, apparently.
Because I mean, I know, and I don't know a lot about the subject. I know I've talked to a few people, and I actually had a friend, oh God, now going on probably 20 years ago, that swore up and down he had done astral projection. And in his case, I mean, he didn't actually, I mean, at one point he felt like he left his body.
Mm-hmm.
He could see his body, but then his transition between one point and another point was like basically almost instantaneously. But that being said, he couldn't, like you were mentioning, he could see what was going on, but he couldn't physically experience what was going on. There was no feeling involved in it. It was just like that all hit him when he came back, right? Like the in-depth feelings of it came when he arrived back into his body.
Yeah.
But the other, the lucid dreaming, I mean, I've never really experienced that, so I can't really say one way or the other. I mean, I've had, waking moments of, I guess you would call it waking lucid dreaming. I don't know. Maybe that's how I get my stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's right, it's like hang on a second, live long and prosper.
Daryl always goes, so tell me, do you know someone named? And it's like, oh God, here we go. You're waking lucid dreaming.
Well, I mean, I guess you can be awake and still lucid dream. I don't see why not.
Yeah, and that kind of
because you are partially awake, right?
Like it went from lucid dreaming into like astral projection, because I started researching that. I guess the CIA had this idea many, many years ago. I think like back in the 50s, there were like some released documents that they understood lucid dream, or not lucid dreaming, astral projection. And these documents, I guess, were leaked to the public. And science is now kind of proving that this is a potential thing. So and I mean, they're going back, and they've got, I guess, documentation from like things like Buddhists and Hindus and monks and all sorts of religions that have used astral projection to go to other worlds and dimensions and get knowledge of the existence of us.
But see, that's where I'm wondering, because I mean, okay, so if somebody can astral project, I mean, my thought on that would be, wouldn't the person really have to know at least something about where they're going to say that it was an authentic astral projection? I mean, to go to another planet, but who the hell is going to believe you?
Well, there are people that say they have astral project to other parts of the world. Like you could be in your living room there, Daryl, and you can, I guess, go into like this like trance like state, and you're able to project yourself to say somewhere in Italy. You may not have ever been to Italy, but you can walk down streets, you can see street names, you can see the shapes of buildings, you get all this knowledge, and you can come back and be like, hey Mike, you know what, I just like ended up in Italy and this street in this town. You know, I saw this person, you know, named so, you know, and then Mike can go and look it up. And sure enough, he might be able to pull up some pictures. He might be able to walk down, you know, pull up Google Maps and walk down some streets and be like, I was just there.
So with
people
that,
are able to do this. They can make themselves go anywhere they want in the world. They can make themselves fly. They can make themselves swim underwater. They can do all sorts of things when they astral project.
well, if you can actually back up what you're seeing, that's rather interesting, because then you have somebody that can go back and say, yeah, no, that's factual.
Yeah.
Right. That's different. But to say that somebody's astral projected, and I was like, oh, yesterday I went to Mars. What'd you see on Mars? Red. I mean, but you get my point, right? Like, I mean, I understand the concept, and people have said they've astral projected from here to wherever. If it's in the earth and you can back it up and you can say, hey, this is provable. I looked it up on Google. Here it is. This is what I saw. But then,
but on the flip side of that equation, Daryl, if you could look it up on Google, what's to say the average person can't as well, right? Like they can say, "Oh, I went to Milwaukee where Amy went, and I saw all this," but you can look it up and be like, "Yep, it's there." So I'm not saying it's not real. I've never experienced that, but it just seems a little bit like if you could back it up by Googling it and going, "Yes, it's real," so can everybody else.
well, that is true, but it
How would you
depends.
prove it?
It depends on how you know the person. And Mike, just to point it out to Amy, when I talk, I cut you out. Okay, so if you're trying to talk at the same time, we can't hear you if I'm talking. Okay, so just letting you know, Mike, you don't cut out as much, but Amy, you cut out entirely at that point. So just, I'll try to make sure I stop when I talk. Oh yeah, his thumbs still work. I don't know if Amy's does. Amy, put your thumbs like that. No, hold them like that though. Just hold them like that. No, it doesn't work, Mike. It's only you. Don't know what he's got, man. Don't know what he's got. Kay wrote, is that like Pedri Pio, who Pio, who is in two places at once by location? Bio location is what she said.
Who's that?
Is that, well, are you saying like, is that the same thing as lucid dreaming or astral traveling, Kay? I mean, biolocation, I mean, literally, I guess that is the concept of astral travel. You're in, your body's here, and you're, to use the term, your energy, let's say, we've been down this road before, is somewhere else. Now that brings up another rabbit hole, which I won't quite dig down, but I do have to bring this up.
I saw the rabbit hole opening as you started.
You saw it.
We've been doing the show long enough.
Kay said he was a Catholic monk who famously was in two places at once. Google him.
Okay.
Well, I can't Google him in the middle of the show, but I'll have to look at him later, Kay. But now, if somebody can be in their bed, like yourself, lucid dreaming or astral traveling, whatever you did, yet you said you felt everything, you smelt it, you experienced it. So one thing comes to, well, two things come to mind. First of all, does that lend power to a spirit, as we investigate them, having that energy to do certain things? Because here's the point. If you are there in your bed and yet you're here at the same time, you know, like you're here and here at the same time, it makes sense that you're not just throwing out an energy, you're actually throwing out an energy with intelligence and enough to remember and carry that back to the main body.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually it's weird. There is a theory that when you lucid dream, if you actually encounter people, say I saw you and Mike in my dream, and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? You know, we can have a really good conversation. I'm like, oh, do you guys know what time it is? that's when you guys can turn like angry, and it's not like you guys are there at all. It's like you're something else that are just gonna scare me out of that dream, and I'm like back in my body and I'm awake. Because apparently, from a lot of sources, when you ask the time or the date in your dream, things get very dark. So
Why?
that's just a theory that people are trying to try when they're astral, or when they're lucid dreaming, and that's a common trait or a common theme that happens.
But why?
I don't
Why are
know.
they trying to push this?
I don't know. I haven't got that far into the research yet, but it's something I'm curious about. It's nothing I'm going to try. Let's say that.
Now I got to go ask somebody what time it is.
I mean,
Well, no.
when I was looking it up, and I was trying to do a little bit of reading about what it is, and I understand that people intentionally try to do the astral projections,
Mhm.
and in order to get to that point, they have to do some sort of meditation,
Mhm.
and basically get into like a zen, like a just total body calming, and then almost like build up, like you said, like an energy within them where they're like almost shaking.
Mhm.
And I just reading about it, I'm like, I can 100% say I've never experienced anything like that. So, when you say, and I did also read about where experiences where if you said certain keywords, like, do you know the time or do you know the date, or even a name of somebody that you just didn't know who they were, but can I get your name? It just changes all like dramatically.
Mhm.
And I couldn't either find out a reason why. It does sound really weird. Like why would that be a trigger?
So dark when you're asking for the date and time. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make really that much sense. I mean, I have to think. I mean, why? Unless, well, I guess maybe. I mean, if you're trying to grasp onto some foothold in reality, um, because I mean, that's what time and date does. Time and date give you a stamp.
Mhm.
Now, if you're astral projecting or astral traveling or even lucid dreaming, and you're moving one thing to some other location, the problem with that being is you don't know whether that location you're going to is in the same time frame that you left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if something out there says, no, 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 you can't know this because if you did, basically you'd be predicting the future or the past, one of the two. But not that you can
It,
predict the
it's
past.
it's
Kate,
almost like in time travel, you're breaking the space-time continuum.
well, oh yeah, I guess. Kay wrote this. Because I've heard that people who deal with sleep paralysis need to write something tangible on the ceiling. If it's a dream, you can't read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, and I've heard of people like holding their breath, and they, that way they know if they're actually like dreaming or not, because when you're dreaming you should be able to just hold your breath and just stay in a dream, but if you're awake then you'll be able to breathe.
Well,
Unless you have
that
sleep apnea.
well, yeah, but that also kind of goes with the fact that are you like like here's my problem. I mean, if I'm holding a breath in a dream, although theoretically you should be able to hold your breath indefinitely, the human being as we know it, most people, like even the best in the world, I think, can only hold their breath for just over 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something. It's ridiculous. But I mean, they can hold their breath for an awfully long time, but there is a limit to your average human person. I think of about a minute and a half tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so being that, would you, in your lucid dream, why, in your mind, why would that change? Because you're still rooted in, although it's a dream, you're still rooted in the physics of what you are. At least that's what I would think, unless you can put yourself into such a state that you realize the difference between the two. Between the two. Holy crap! Between the two. I'm having a lucid moment.
So is it like, I have had very vivid dreams where I can remember very good details, like Amy was saying on the beginning there. Like maybe not to that degree, but I can remember certain details, not smells, but things said, people that were there. Like, one that comes to mind, like it's still stuck in my head, is I had a dream where I was in a motorhome, driving a motorhome to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Why? I have no idea. I've never been there. I've never driven a motorhome in my life, so I wouldn't even know how to. But I can remember doing it in my dream. Is that a form of it, or is that just a really obscure dream that was so vivid and clear that it still resonates with me? Whereas I can't remember what the hell I dreamed about last night.
Well, you might have been touching on the slight fringes of it, possibly. So to go back to your lucid dream, Amy, you said that you could feel stuff, you could see what was on TV, you could hear what was on TV. You said it was a hotel room. Is there any indication as to, I can't remember whether you stated as to where the hotel room was?
Couldn't tell you. No, I have no idea. I just remember being in a hotel room. I kind of got the sense that it was like a renovated 1970s special, but it was a nice place to be staying for wherever I was. But I have no idea what city, what town. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't even tell you if I was at a Hyatt or a Best Western. I have no idea.
Now, question for you. Before this event took place, do you recall in your waking life, your waking hours, your waking time,
Yeah.
of ever having done any research about something along the lines that would lead to having to stay somewhere?
I mean, I'm always traveling, so it's staying in a hotel room is nothing new to me. But I mean, this hotel room was so different. It was not like a hotel room I've ever stayed in. I don't even fathom what like the whole look of this hotel.
So you said 1970s.
It kind of gave me the sense of like a renovated 1970s special. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Here he goes.
No, 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 no. It's not me. No, but there's just something running through my head. It's like,
I think early to mid October last year.
okay, well, that would be mid-COVID, so, or kind of. So it would have been after that. The reason I was thinking is you were not long before that at a very distinctive hotel we know. It was all pink.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago though. But no, this was very different than that.
Well, the whole thing's being renovated, right? It's being
Yeah.
renovated and reopened up,
Right.
right? So it's no longer pink, it's white, but I'm just wondering if you were seeing something that has yet to happen.
Maybe. It's. I mean, it's not entirely impossible. I mean, I've had a dream where this. I mean, this. I had a dream for about a month, and it was a reoccurring dream, and it was actually kind of freaked me out to even go to bed. But basically, I was in like a medieval village. I was in this little room with my parents and my sister and my kids, and they were sick, and I was sick, and I got thrown out into the street, and I was walking in this little village, and I got grabbed by guards or whatever, and I got thrown into this massive fire pit in front of this giant cathedral in this courtyard. And that's when I woke up, and my entire body was it felt like it was on fire. It was like burning. And I sat in bed and just rubbed my skin for probably about 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, now I can get out of bed and get on with my day. But it happens just so regularly for about a month. I couldn't tell you. Then eventually COVID hit, and then the whole world was burning up. And then I just completely forgot about the dream after that, but it happened for years. Or I've had the memory for years, but that happened for about a month. And then COVID hit, and then I just completely forgot all about it.
And your whole body was on fire.
Well, it just felt like
Felt like it.
thrown into a fire pit. But when I woke up physically, I sat in bed, and it just felt like my skin on my whole body was on fire. Like it was just like it was sore to touch. Like when you take like a lighter and you put it on your hand or something, it's like that burny feeling. But my whole body felt like that. But in my dream, the whole world was burning up because everybody was sick and getting thrown into a fire pit.
Can I talk?
Absolutely. I see him. I'm seeing him. He's like, oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I watched something the other day, and I know, Daryl, we've touched on this before, where we have theories that we have lived multiple lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
So and this just popped in my head, is what Amy's experiencing, are you going through reliving or re-experiencing a previous life that you lived?
Maybe that was a theory. I thought.
I was just going to ask the same damn question, Mike.
Right? Because like you're on fire one time, another time you're in a 1970s hotel that you've never been to before, but you can remember with great detail, smells, tastes, whatever. And there is a theory out there that we live multiple lives, right? But we can't remember them. We don't. It's not by choice. It's just we can't, right?
Well,
So sometimes, though, again, this is all theories. I'm not saying I believe in this one way or the other, but there's theories that you can tap into those memories somehow. And because our minds, like when you're sleeping, we're going into like this state of just total relaxation. Maybe you're just tapping into that.
Maybe. I mean, Kay said I could have been a witch in the past life, but here I am sitting here like a
Yes, you're in the Salem witch trials.
it honestly, Kay, it passed my mind too. That's the first thing that popped on my mind, burning at the stake.
Yeah.
But that's what popped into my head, right? Because I was going to ask you, if you were to follow the history of your family back, where does it go?
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing that, but I've only hit maybe about 150 years back. But I'm like we're trappers for fishing.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean,
I haven't got as far back as witching yet.
well, Kay just said I was told about a past life, and I actually did talk to her about this today. I was told about a past life today coincides with the health issues she has today, which I thought was really kind of cool. Very interesting to have happen for her. So there's lots of things leading that lucid dreaming could be the fact that you are seeing stuff from the past. And maybe you can, like, I don't know, is it possible, or does anybody ever said that it's possible to lucid dream forward of your current status, or are you only able to lucid dream back? So I could only lucid dream back from today, right? Maybe into past lives, I don't know, but only back. I don't know about forward. I haven't read enough on it to find that out. And even if you did go forward, how could you? I mean, unless you're like, if you're going into a spot and say, I saw this, 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 but like you said, you can't see dates or anything like that. You can't ask that kind of information. So the chance of you actually seeing a clock is probably negated in the lucid dream, because it would be a key. It would be a trigger.
Unless you saw something like a flying car.
Well, yeah, like a DeLorean.
Yeah, like a Back to the Future, right? Like if you
There
actually
goes
saw like
Doc
a
Brown.
legit flying car, like all the cars are flying through the sky rather than driving on the road. That's a pretty good indication you're not in the same time period you were before. But if everything looked the same, like if you look out your window and everything looks exactly the same, you'd have no idea what date and time it is.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, you don't really know. I don't know. The whole concept of it is interesting, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd actually. Oh God, I just had a weird thought.
Oh, here we go.
Did you have a
Mike's
same
like,
thought? Because I just got a thought too. I'm wondering if it's like
it's the same thought. Mike, you're giving me thoughts. No, okay. So just you gave me a shovel, I dug another hole.
Yeah.
If when people pass on, all right, and their energy still exists as we deem they or think or believe they do, are those energies actually physically moving from point A to point B, or is the energy stuck somewhere in a hole or somewhere that's been, and they're just lucidly jumping? That energy is jumping from point to point to point to point to point. I mean, I know it's a little convoluted, but I'm just like looking at all the options, and it really boggles the mind as to what might be plausibly happening for us as paranormal investigators in this whole thing, right? Yeah, go ahead,
What if,
Mike.
what if, when we're doing our thing, right? When
Yeah.
we're sitting there in a room and we're all going, can you tell me your name? Can you say how old you are? What if this astral projection is for real, and what we're seeing or hearing is someone that is astral projecting to where we are? They're not even dead. They're actually asleep in their bed somewhere. I mean, could you imagine? Like, that's like, wow, what a dream. I dreamt I was in a room with paranormal investigators. Like, what the hell? They were like asking me questions and I couldn't answer them. I couldn't tell them where I was or what I was doing. And I couldn't ask them either. They couldn't hear me. And then all of a sudden they got up this noisy box and it started like going random and I started like pretending I could speak through it. Maybe there's nothing to that. I don't know. That could be
No, but
rabbit hole.
it's an interesting concept. So next time we're at the camp, you can ask and say, "All right, Carmen, the time is." If she comes in the next day going, "What the hell? Everything just got really weird in my dream last night," you've hit on something. I'll tell you.
Right?
Oh my Lord! Yeah, I don't. I wish I could know. I mean, I guess in certain ways, like I know I've had an out of body experience. Right? I know I've had that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider what I experienced as astral traveling because, well, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Okay, so in a nutshell, when I was in the hospital in a coma, blah 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 blah. At one point in time, I did die. Right, my heart stopped. I was flatlined. I remember seeing myself. Right, and I remember boogieing down the hallway in the hospital. And I remember going from door to door to door to door to door to door to door. But my time between this door and this door, no matter what the distance was instantaneous. Okay. But I got really angry because I couldn't get out of the door. No matter what I did, they were all locked. Right. I just could not get out of the door. Didn't matter what it was, where it was. And then boom, I'm back because they brought me back. That being said, would that be just considered an out-of-body experience, or would that be considered a form of astral traveling? Because I couldn't get out, and I remember a good friend. All she said was, "It just wasn't your time, so you couldn't get out." And I like to believe that,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, is it the same concept? Right, that energy left and traveled to a certain point, but it's not really the same because I was trying to get out and it wouldn't let me. Which brings up another question, and that brought up that thought in my head that I couldn't get out no matter what I wanted to do. There's no way. It wasn't my time. They weren't going to let me go. Okay, and I refer to it as they because that's the way I look at it. Right? They weren't going to let me go. Where you said during a lucid dream, you can't. They say you can't ask the time or the date because they won't give it to you. It turns dark. It won't go any farther. It probably forces you back. Is it very similar to the same concept? That's when you're lucid dreaming, you're entering that realm, not just your own realm, but you're entering that realm, that spiritual realm, where the rest of the spirits do exist. They're out there, right? But you're in their same realm, but they know because they're actually truly past. When you come through, they're like, there goes another one. But if they start picking too far and they're like, no, you've gone far enough, back you go.
Like, is it different in the sense that, like, when you flatline, maybe all of your energy goes to a different dimension, where when you're sleeping and you're having like a lucid dream, or even when you're doing an astral travel, your part like your energy is still in you. You're still alive. You're just sleeping.
Oh yeah. Oh
Part
yeah.
of you just wanders off. So
Yeah. I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the concept of something else out there
mhm.
being in control, like you have your lucid dream where it'll allow you to go so far. Astral travel will allow you to go so far. And then they say there are limits.
Yeah.
Why are there limits?
I don't know. I don't know. I think when it comes to, from what I understand with astral travel, there really aren't limits. You can go from here to Timbuktu, and it doesn't matter. Like there's no limits on what you can do.
Except for you can't ask certain questions.
The sea, like you can do anything you do.
But you can't ask any questions.
I don't think you can ask the time.
So there's a limit.
There would be a limit, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. You can do certain things, and it makes me wonder that for people that can, like yourself, that have these lucid moments, and have this happen, there's a certain limit that you can go to. You can do this, 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 and this, and there might be hundreds of things you can do. There's a couple things that you can't, and then they say, okay, that's it. You've done far enough. Back you go. And although to you, you're like, okay, I'm going back. I'm done. Now I know that some of the true astral travelers say, I only come back when I'm ready to come back. But is that true, or is it just somebody says, okay, it's time for you to go back, and your head's going, it's time for me to come back? You know what I'm saying?
Right, because you're like, you know what, my body's not tired anymore. I'm gonna wake up.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Now,
Yeah.
Kay goes, I was told about hang on a second. No, she goes, so what would happen if you died in your dream? Ah, K. What would happen if you die in your dream? Well, people have, I've heard a lot about this. People have said a lot that you die in your dream, you die in real life. That's what I heard. That's why whenever you fall off a cliff and you're falling, you see the rocks coming at you, but just before you hit, you wake up. They say if you hit, you're dead. Well, I could argue that point because I had a cousin that always saw the rock penetrate his chest before he woke up. So, is it or is it not?
I've heard that the reason you wake up is because your mind does not comprehend what death feels like.
What comes next?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that theory too, actually.
Which leads me back to the original thought that when you're traveling, you can only travel back.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know what's forward. Because forward for you, like forward for any of us, really, what's happening tomorrow, we don't know.
No.
Here is another thing that it's another dream that I've had, and maybe you guys have like dreamt of a particular building or a location, completely forgot about it. 2 years later, you fall asleep, you have a dream, and you're back in that location. And you're like, oh yeah, totally forgot about this place. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but there is one location that I keep going back to, and it's weird because I'm actually with a paranormal team, and it's at a particular school that we all know about from the past, and we have access to 2 floors of it, but on one side is actually like an actual like prison, and you can see the cells down at the far back end of it, and you can actually walk. Once I was able to walk these cellways, but I can't get to the far back of the room because something's stopping me from getting there. And I have been there a few times now, and I'm like, why can't I get back there? Why am I not allowed to go back there? So in my dreams, obviously, I'm not going backwards because I'm going into the future in my dreams, because clearly I've been there before and I'm fully aware of it. But I'm trying to figure out why I can't go into the back. But maybe I shouldn't know what's at the back.
Well, there's another thing that prevents you from going on because it's saying this is as far as I can allow you to go at this point in time.
Yeah.
It may not be your choice.
Yeah.
And maybe whatever's there, whatever's entering, whatever aspect or whatever realm you entered into, that entity or whatever, that force or what energy or whatever's there is saying, yeah, okay, here's your big stop sign. You ain't going no farther.
Yeah, but it's just like we were saying, I'm going forward in my dream. I'm never going backwards.
What if, Amy? What if everything's just a simulation?
And my
And the user just went, stop. Nope. It's like The Sims, right? This
Yeah.
person, nope, they can't go down there. Nope, push them this way.
The dungeon master has spoken.
There's so many possibilities, right? Like I don't understand it myself, but maybe because your mind doesn't comprehend that what it is, right? Because like, what do? We investigate the paranormal. We want to find out the answers, but we don't know the answers. We have ideas of what may be, and we all have varying levels of what may be, but we don't know. And it's just like our dreams. We're like, why don't we die when we jump off a cliff? Well, because we don't know what that's going to be like, right? So that's just kind of like the way it is. Like you don't know, so your brain can't make that up. It can only go so far.
Yeah.
But
It's
that, sorry, Amy, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I cut you off.
I can't even remember what I'm going to say now.
Her brain can't comprehend that.
It's wrapping around so many things, but I was going to ask, what was that movie? It's like a Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he falls asleep and then you can fall asleep in your dream and you kind of go to like different dimensions and he's like you can actually bend worlds and create worlds while you're in it.
Inception?
Inception. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, Inception.
Yeah. Just watched that the other day.
Which leads me to another thing. Like, is astral projection similar to sleep paralysis? Is there any link to that? Because that I have experienced.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary experience.
And to the point where I'm not going to say okay, I don't want to sound like I wear a tinfoil hat when this happens, but I can remember on one or two occasions where I could see myself sleeping even though I couldn't move.
You were seeing yourself sleeping, but you couldn't move.
Yeah.
Well, then you were definitely looking at yourself from a different perspective, weren't you?
Yeah.
So isn't it like when you have sleep paralysis, like you're awake but you can't move your body because your head wakes before your body?
That's one. Yeah, I think that's the scientific explanation of what happens, is that you wake up without waking up. And I mean, I've experienced it, and it's terrifying. Everyone that I've ever talked to that has had it happen, it's terrifying. Where you want to shout out, you want to move, you want to do something, but you can't. But you're completely aware of what's going on. Now, is that almost like is that in any way linked to astral projection, where you almost started to project but you couldn't? I don't know. Is there any link there?
Possibly. I mean, I would think it's more of a lucid dreaming situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should take the mirror off the ceiling.
Nope, there's no mirror.
And I guess it could be. I don't know. I mean, as Katie had just said, she goes, terrifying experience. I've taught myself to say mantras because I know she's experienced sleep paralysis. Yeah. And it's always the nasty critter coming at you from the bottom of the bed. Kay, that's your dog.
Yeah, that's your kid.
No, it is terrifying, but the loss of control is absolutely horrifying, because it is like you're you are, well, that's why they call it sleep paralysis, but you're paralyzed. You cannot move, you cannot shout, you cannot do anything. No. I know it's completely different than astral projection, where all of a sudden you're on Mars and you remember every detail, although from my understandings, we won't be able to breathe on Mars, so I don't know how that would work, but
I don't know. I've had paralysis before, but never sleep paralysis.
No.
Now I had the paralysis happen when that dark figure appeared in my room many years back, and I
Yeah.
couldn't move. I could turn my head and look to see if the wife was in bed, but I couldn't talk. I couldn't scream. I couldn't say anything. Right. And all I could do was turn and like just glance and then glance back, and it was gone. So that's as much movement really as I had. So I understand where you're coming from, Mike. I mean, it was, in a weird way, it was a very terrifying experience
Yeah.
because the mind just couldn't comprehend what was going on. Right. It just couldn't grasp it. There was no reality to base it on. And I'm like, that's really weird. So, I mean, I can understand a form of paralysis, but I'm actually, I consider myself, I guess, to be a little blessed that I've never had sleep paralysis. And I hope I really frankly never do.
No, you don't
Because
want
I'll
You don't
probably
want.
freak myself half to death.
Amy, have you ever had that happen?
I have.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you had. I'm pretty sure you told me that you had before, and I know Kay for sure. I know there was
No
others as well. So yeah, not fun. Not fun.
question. Do you think, Amy, over your time, like, okay, how many years have you been in the paranormal field now?
20.
Okay, almost, yeah, probably 20 years. Okay, so 20 years in the paranormal field. Do you think over that time that the ability to better look at your lucid dreams, interpret things like events that happen to you, whether they're out of body or whatever they are, do you think that has gotten better in the fact that you're in the paranormal realm or not?
Yeah, I think I've become more open in a lot of ways, whether that's good or bad. I'm not sure. I always surround myself with prayers and light before I even fall asleep. And I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna dream something, wherever I go, surround me in light. And it's never really steered me wrong, which thankfully. Um, but I think that's helping um with my dreams and being able to control them a lot more. So
It's
I don't.
a better understanding of what you're going through.
Yeah, exactly. Just so I can at least toy with it a little bit. So when I'm in this situation, can I control it? Can I not control it? Am I going back to the same places? Why am I experiencing it? Just kind of getting some more knowledge behind it. So I think that's one thing I'm going to play with a little bit just to see if that's actually something. So,
Interesting.
but I'm not going to ask the time. I will not do that.
I will.
But yeah, I mean that has me curious really as to why. I mean, I guess I can try to understand it, but I mean, I'd like to really talk to people that have experienced that aspect of it and really kind of say, well, why? Why is there such a terrifying thought that you can't know the time or the date? I
I
mean,
don't.
it just
I don't know. I think what would kind of freak me out a little bit is if, say, not lucid dreaming, but astral projection. Like if you can actually just sit on your couch and just kind of go deep into thought, and then you can project yourself somewhere in the world. If you can actually do that, and you go into like a war-stricken country, and you're like, you know what? I know exactly what's going to happen. I know the conversations between the political leaders. I know what's going to happen, when and where and how. I can come back and see if it actually happens. Like what? And if it does, wouldn't that be terrifying that people have the ability to do that, to see what's actually going to happen in different countries?
you'd be working for the FBI.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
one last question for me.
Mm.
From the point you know some of the things I get.
Mm.
And a lot of times, and I mean, maybe you two have noticed it. I don't know, but I know I do it myself a lot. If I'm out and I'm like picking something, a lot of times I'll just do this, right? And I'll be looking. I won't be looking at anybody, but I'll be looking past them, right? So me looking past something and getting something accurate, whether it's a place, a picture, anything like that, and I've done it many times for Kay. Is that a form of projecting? Am I picking something up coming to me, or am I just using a form of projection to go forward to that particular point in time, just from a mind's eye point of view, to get that information?
Maybe you don't have, maybe you're able to get into the same sort of zone that you would have to while you're, I guess, trying to calm yourself, because you're trying to get into a calm, quiet space to be able to pick up those things, correct?
Well, yeah, but sometimes I'll be sitting there watching TV, like when I told you guys about the rocking chair,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was sitting at home watching TV. The TV was on. Now, mind you, when I was doing it, I don't remember what happened on the TV, but I do remember just seeing it, right? I mean, it was just like the knowledge was there,
Mhm.
right? And you know me, I always say I don't know how accurate it actually is, but in that case, it was. So
I would
Right.
say what you're going through, Daryl, probably is a form of astral projection
I
because
would.
you are able to pick up certain details but not get the whole picture.
Mhm.
So I would say it almost is a form of it. Maybe not entirely, but it's a form of it.
interesting thought.
Yeah, I have to agree
Hmm.
with probably opening at the same kind of senses mindset that you would need to be able to astral project while you're in a calm, quiet space because you're trying to put yourself in a calm, quiet space to get that knowledge. Where people who are actually trying to astral project are sitting there quietly trying to zone in on their own energy.
So where some people are astral projecting, I'm like mini hopping.
Hmm.
I mean, because it's almost instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's like a doink doink.
because
Yeah.
you said to you it's almost like a film reel, right? That's how you explained it to me. Like it's almost like a film reel, and you're trying to grasp at what it is exactly that you're visualizing or seeing, and that's all of a sudden you get it, right? It's
Yeah.
like it all of a sudden just comes into focus for even for a brief second, and you get a name or you get like I'm picturing like a man with a gray beard, and Bob or Billy or sort of the me, right? But that's all you
Paper.
get out of it. But it's because you're here, but you're with us, right? Obviously, but you're picking up on it as well from another who knows where. Like it just comes out. It comes out of the blue to you.
Well, he did do that because when we were up in Yale, he's like texting us, going, "Who's JD?"
Yeah. Yes. Exactly like that. It's just like
Yeah,
Daryl's texting again. What he's got to say now? But
Well,
it's
no, it gives an interesting concept that I like that thought of things. It just like, and that gives a kind of a different meaning to those people that are mediums, that they're not just picking up information. They're actually physically kind of beatboxing from this to this to this to this. As it's kind of like they're watching. You said it. They're kind of like watching that film going by, going, I got it,
yeah,
but I missed 400 other frames, but I got that,
exactly.
and I got
Exactly.
that. And then sometimes, you see the frame go by and then you see it go by again. And it's like, okay, I got that and that and that.
Yeah.
But it's rare, right? But I like that concept. I like it how it's tied all together. That's actually rather interesting. That actually sounds really cool. Yeah. Well, guess what, folks? It is.
It's time
It's
for the
right.
Twilight Zone.
It is probably very close to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock here. We're pretty well almost right at the end of our show.
59.
Yeah, yeah. Amy, thank you so much for being on Off the Cuff with me and Mike. It is always a pleasure to have you on. And this topic really got interesting, and I think it's something that we can carry on down the line because there's so many other things tied to it.
yeah. I'll do some more research. Maybe we'll do a part 2.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on board. Any last words, Mike?
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. There you go. There you go. Have a lucid night. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Off the Cuff Paranormal, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, Amy.
Goodbye.
Bye, Daryl. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Mike. Bye, Amy. Bye, Mike.